friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I'm the host of the show, and today you guys were on episode 219, Being Real about the Fentanyl Crisis. Now you guys, this is a topic that I've wanted to talk about, and I've talked about many times before here on the show, talking about opioid crises, talking about big pharma. It is not something that we have shied about talking, especially in keeping up with Canada and the state of where Canada is when it comes to the opioid crisis. And y'all, over the last couple of years, unfortunately, it has not gotten better. So I have brought my OG Hales babe. So I brought my OG host, Hales, back to the show to talk to me a little bit more today about some things that I found on the internet that actually kind of blew my mind a little bit when it comes to this crisis. And we just talk opinions on how we feel things have been, and with a little bit of statistics, because we know we love to throw those in. But before we jump into this episode, I just want to remind you, if you're watching on Spotify, Rumble, or Apple, to like, subscribe, turn on notifications if that's available. Leave a little review or some stars if you can. I've been seeing a couple more come in the last couple of weeks, and that means so much to me, you guys. A lot of new followers, so thank you guys so much. It's really cool to see the show go out after I've been working so hard the last 4 years. So I really do appreciate anytime you guys like, subscribe, or share anything, comment. It really helps me out so much. If you want to find me on social media, you can find me this year on TikTok and Instagram at the Be Real Babe or the Be Real Babe podcast. And you can always email me if you want to be a guest or know a guest that should be on at the Be Real Babe at hotmail.com. Thank you guys again so much for all the support. I hope you're loving this season so far. We're getting real on topics that are controversial, that are hot, that no one wants to talk about. But, you know, we talk about them on the show, and I just want to thank you guys for a million times, but I'm going to shut the fuck up and let's get to this. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today, I have the most specialist guest ever, my OG babes, Hales.
Hey, dude.
It's not a season without you. Hi, hello.
I love it.
I know, I'm so excited. I know. I miss you. I'm so glad that we get to at least have this. Life's just so quick, man. Time's not real.
It's crazy how I was thinking the other day, like, time flies by so different when you're a kid. Like, for her, like, waiting an hour is just like, where for me, like, my time goes by in weeks and months. Sometimes it seems. And it's crazy how time flies.
Especially like, as you get older. And it's like, I hate to be that. And I'm like, is this the aging thing that they're saying? Or is time not real? Is this like spiritual awakening that time's not real and we're not real and we're a hologram? Or is this like age or where or what is this?
To all of us.
It really does.
It's weird. It literally.
Yes, and this is a topic too, which I'm really glad we're going to talk about today, because we've talked about it, and we've talked about policies and government and the homelessness and mental health crisis and all of that. And so it's just like, thank you for coming on today, because
absolutely
especially with politics right now, I think this is a big talking point, at least for conservatives, and it's a big one for us. And so, yeah, I think it's a good time to get into this a little bit more.
For me, it's just kind of confusing how, like, it just seems to be so obvious, yet nothing is being done. And it seems to be, like, just kind of, like, left there to be, like, fester and rot on its own, which I find to be kind of an odd way to approach it.
Yes, absolutely. And I understand that we don't always know what to do. And I wouldn't expect anybody to be a fucking expert on how to fix this crisis by any means. But what I think I'm struggling with is, like, the current status isn't working. What's happening isn't, or what's in place isn't working. And it's just progressively getting worse. And I would like to understand why. Like, the spike.
It's just kind of an odd thing to let sit and do nothing. Like,
well, yeah, and it's like, and not to be a dick, but like how we handled the pandemic versus something like this, I think that's where a lot of me and you, I know, called that out. We're like, okay, cool, but especially now in 2020, when we're watching the spikes of opioid use and deaths going spiraling up the minute the pandemic happened, like, why aren't we talking about this? What the fuck?
I feel like it's kind of it's just one of those super hypocritical and ironic moments where like we cared about something so minor, or that turned out to be so minor, so heavily, but something super heavy and serious like this is being taken so lightly and not like given, in my opinion, the absolute respect that it deserves.
100%.
Like we are losing people at an insane rate and no one seems to be blinking an eye at it, and
No.
it needs to be talked about a little bit more.
Yes.
It's a really ugly topic, don't get me wrong, but like it needs to be, we need to voice it a bit better and a bit more.
Yeah. And it was just like, we couldn't even talk about like COVID and the flu though. Like really, but it's like, are we just not good at talking about this? But it's happening more and more. And I think people, like you said, just don't want to talk about it. It's uncomfortable, but it's affecting so many people. And it's not just people that want, to like, who wants to be in that position? I just don't understand. I just don't think anybody wakes up one day and is like, this is what I want to do. Like they get themselves in this position and then there's no supports. And again, like if politics and the government were like, hey, we tried this safe supply harm reduction and it's showing it's not working, let's walk it back. The decriminalization, let's walk it back. It's like, okay, thank you for at least acknowledging, but quietly acknowledging that this didn't work. And I think we put so much into the pandemic and so much money and stopped the whole country to focus on making sure people didn't die from COVID. Meanwhile, like you said, we're losing people at an exponential rate for the opioid crisis. And that's just something that we don't want to talk about because the government or like mainstream media isn't talking about it as much as it did for COVID. Like, I would like to know why we're not talking about it.
I was honestly flabbergasted, like dumbfounded, all the big words that you could think of that mean the exact same. Like, I was So beside myself that they 100% did that with the hardest of drugs. I understand like marijuana, psilocybin, like those, yeah, because they have like positive stuff. Whereas although fentanyl and a lot of these are like have medical places, it's still
dangerous.
It just really rocked me that they did that, honestly. Like they put up such a stink for how long about legalizing and decriminalizing marijuana, and the worst you're going to get from that is like the hankering for some snacks and like the giggles, and then you're gonna pass out and you're gonna be useless.
You might green out, right?
Worst case, I've done it.
Yeah,
it's not require I've never gone to the doctor or a hospital for a green out ever.
I think about like when you get drunk and you puke. Like to me, like greening out is the same as when you drink too much alcohol and your body's just rejecting it, right?
And it's nothing that I feel like most of us haven't already dealt with on like a crappy roller coaster ride or too drunk. Like there's just, it's different. It's not the same. Fentanyl, heroin, crack, like I didn't see the necessity. I know what they're trying to do, but they also didn't back it up with any of the support that they need when doing that.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing too, right? Like this is why I think it's such a nuanced conversation, because it's like, of course we want to have safe, like, okay, I'm going to put safe supply aside, but I'm going to say more like the harm reduction. I think I'm a little bit more where it's like, where I struggle, because it's like you want to make sure that they have healthy, things to be able to not, hurt themselves when it comes to like disease or all that. But at the same time, it's like, are you saying like keep doing it? And while you're offering those services, are you offering them also ways to get help and support? Which maybe, but it doesn't sound like there is. Yeah, it just sounds like it's like,
but it wasn't
here's needles.
Like the forced mandatory hand-in-hand support that they should have been.
Exactly.
It should have been more of a focus of here is this as well as this. And I honestly did not. It was just painful, and it was very frustrating to see, especially when you know people or have family members or just witness it daily out on our streets. Even Edmonton has never been that bad.
No,
and it has gotten gnarly, like to the point that like people are noticing, like it's bad. Yeah, and if we're bad, BC and Toronto, I don't even want to know. I wouldn't even go, even if you paid me. No, and that's depressing. Like that's a rough reality.
It is
when your streets, that's all you see, and it's depressing. It's hard to function when when you can drive down the block and there's like encampments and syringes everywhere and just visible drug use of the worst kinds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And too, on top of it, it's like, I'm not saying that I don't think that any of those supports shouldn't be there, but it's like at what degree they should be. But then it's like, if it's just a stop, drop, roll, leave kind of situation, is it actually helping? What are the statistics showing that, yes, I agree. Like you don't want them to be by themselves. And I understand decriminalizing it to remove the stigma. But I think the stigma comes in with like, where's the support for them to get better? Where's
Yeah.
addressing the mental health crisis that what
The
got them there?
rehabilitation
The
side of it.
rehabilitation, exactly. And like, I'm sure each and every single one of them, not all of them, I'm sure there's people that do want to stay in active addiction. Not all, but I'm sure some of them are just not ready
Some of them don't care. Yeah. Some of them are completely happy with where they're at. And I mean, that's fine, but
that's their
you
choices.
know damn well that can't be a very big number.
No, absolutely. And that's what I mean. Like, you know, some people are just maybe not ready, right? And that's totally
Thank you for bearing
understandable.
with me while I set up my little minion of a terrorist in my house. God.
We knew this. This is why we couldn't carry on all the time,
No,
24/7.
But yeah, it is more visible. It's more out there. It's more seen. It's more noticeable. And like we said, for it to just sit stagnant and no one's like doing anything active. And like, it is nice that it's in politicians' campaigns. Don't get me wrong, but until there's action done, I don't believe a damn word of it.
100%.
From any side,
from anybody.
To be clear.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing to watch, man.
Yes.
Driving
down, how do we help?
And I've heard actually Spruce Grove or Stony Plain, I don't remember, like one of the area, like it's humbling as fuck.
Yeah, it really is. It makes you very grateful
when you're driving through there because you don't know what to say with what you're seeing.
Yes,
it's rough.
It is, and it's like, okay, well, and again, like I'm not saying for fucking second I would know how to fix it, but when I'm sitting back is like when we look at we're researching back, it's like 2015 there was really an uptick. So 2016 they started really like recording data about opioid crisis. Like what was it in 2015? You know, and it's just a shitty time. Like, I'm not saying it was like Trudeau got in and immediately started getting bad. It's just interesting that through the 10 years, that's when the uptick of this. And what is it? Is it, you know, not having stricter rules at the borders, and we'll talk about that shortly too. Like, is it, because one thing that I found interesting that we'll go through is when I was looking through the border service information and what they have been like capturing, the number of things like other kind of drugs were a lot higher than fentanyl. It was actually a lot lower. So then I wondered, is like that mean that fentanyl is getting more made here within Canada, which is what we're hearing about, right? Yeah, that one Twitter thing that I shared was like over 4,000 different drug crimes linked to fentanyl in Canada. Yeah. So, you know, it is a big thing. And it sounds like it's not necessarily that it's crossing into our borders as much as it sounds like the ingredients maybe are and the other substances or the fake, not real fentanyl.
Black market.
Yeah, well, there's just different versions like synthetic fentanyl, right? So then people are making different kind of chemicals to make up.
It can be made, obviously, like meth. Like you can cook it, I'm sure. I haven't quite looked into the process.
So I haven't looked at the recipe.
But like we do know that like a lot of this originates from the medical system too. Like I was telling Brad that like it blew my mind because I was sitting here kind of talking about it with Nick and I was like, dude, never would I ever, like you couldn't pay me. Like I'm so glad I've never done that. And he kind of looks at me sideways. I'm like looking at him like, what? He's like, yes, you've done fentanyl. And I'm looking at him and I was like upset about it. I was like, you've known me 20 years. I have certainly never fucking touched fentanyl. Like that wasn't even a thing when we were kids doing stupid drugs. Like give me a break. Like no. And he just kind of looks at me. He's like, Haley, you had a child. He said, you had an epidural. I was like, what? And he's like, I was completely conscious and like there went through the whole thing. He's like, I was there. It was fentanyl. I know it was. I was like, and I just like it was like aside, like shocked, very shocked. I was like, I didn't even fucking register that. And I maxed it out. And to think that when you see those commercials where they say like the amount that can kill you is absolutely like, that's mental. And to think, like I said, it has it's a medical, like that's probably where it originated. Someone found it, figured out how to cook it, and then it's done.
And that's where I wanted to go over to today. Cause like, obviously it got me curious and the same thing, thinking of like, okay, you know, medicine, there's always a use for things, right? And I think two things can exist at the same time, right? Like there can be amazing benefits for people as long as you're doing it, you know, carefully and know that it could always come with risks, of course, but then it always gets in the hands of the wrong people, unfortunately, and it takes the most vulnerable. And then what are we doing to set them up for success? Like you said, like for me, it's not throwing money at centers and just opening more centers for people to do drugs. It's like, how do we set them up? As someone who's been fucking close, dude, I was so addicted to Tylenol 3, so I understand what it's like being addicted to pharmaceuticals. And if I had gotten in knock on wood, if I had gotten in an accident or gone through a surgery, and they're just like you said, a lot of it comes from medical, where they just try it the first time. And if you're going through a hard time in your life, and even Tylenol 3 would just make you feel like you're floating on cloud 9. And I was like, oh my God, not only do I not feel the physical pain I'm going through, I feel fucking nothing.
It's
this
not
is
the
great.
mental pain, it's the emotional pain that
Everything.
it removes. It's just like the numbness that people chase, which
exactly.
is like, and that all stems back to the what, people? The mental health crisis in this country.
What are they hurting?
With the drugs.
Exactly. Like what are they trying to escape? What's hurting? What are they feeling like they're lacking?
That needs to be fixed. That needs to be attended to and helped and nurtured and loved on, because there's obviously a root cause to why people are cooking gross drugs in their bathrooms.
Yes, and for multiple reasons too, right? Whether that's they just went into it because say they couldn't afford, or their medical insurance is done and they can't get the medical one, so they go to street drugs, or maybe they're just trying it the one time, or like there's so many different reasons why people can find themselves ending up in this situation. But at the end of the day, I always feel like it's because there's a lack of support, a very loneliness, like being isolated, and you just get caught up in these things and we don't have anybody to talk to. And I think that was the idea of decriminalization, right? It's just like,
especially during the pandemic when everyone was isolated as
right. And then it's like, we don't want to talk about it because obviously that's like a really hard thing to say, because people are going to worry, and then you have to, like I said, that's why I think people don't want to face stuff, because then it's like, we all know from
it's too real.
Yeah, it's too real. And as someone who's been a user, especially of pharmaceuticals, like, and once you get addicted to it and you have a doctor that's willing to do that, or you have a dealer, like it gets it holds on to you. So I do empathize with that. But for myself speaking personally, it was like, because I was missing something, because something was dysregulated, and that was my, like, so many different things. But I was very lucky to have support. So like for me, I just hope to see more support for people. Why are you hurting? Why, like, and for me, I had so many reasons. Obviously, it's not what it is today, but like I had so many reasons that actually, when I look back, I'm like, oh, I didn't. And that's not for everybody, but I just feel like if we had that support, then hopefully we could get people to start cracking those layers and not feel like they need to escape real life by doing drugs.
It really is just that, though. Like the pandemic was a perfect setup for this. And part of me really, like, the cynical part really comes out, and I really hope it's not right, thinking that it was done on purpose to really harm our country. Yeah. Because like, how the fuck could someone do something so cruel and heinous? Like, are you kidding me? But like, it's just, the pandemic really set us up for the absolute worst case scenario, because like I said, like, not that homelessness and drug addicts are always linked or like common, like the same, you know what I mean? Like, but like, you can't be homeless and happy. Unfortunately, some people are living kind of nomad lives, and I can understand that, but like, not the majority of homeless people are going to be super stoked on life and not trying to numb something. Alcohol, drugs, sex work, like any form of addiction, right? Like stealing, like you name it, right? Anything. Like it is what it is. But addiction, it comes down to, like, the root of all addiction in my mind, and I'm assuming ever, is mental health. Like, you need to be like Brandy and I, like, you and I smoke weed, but I also don't classify weed really as like weed and mushrooms. To me, yes, they're drugs, but they're helpful. They kind of aid mental health sometimes.
Yes.
Overdoing
there's a boundary for
there's
sure.
a fine line. We're not going to get into that, but like the other ones just really don't lend anything to bettering yourself at all.
No, just unless you said like in a medical procedure, right? Like to me, it's just like mushrooms and psychedelics for the most part, and cannabis can be consumed like on your own, where you're not gonna, well, I mean, ayahuasca or some shit like that, maybe not, but you know what I mean? But like, but I think like a light amount of mushrooms, all of that, like it's not intended, like that's not its intent to make you disappear from the world. It's meant to enhance the world, right? So, and it can happen
medically too.
Exactly.
You know, it's gonna be, it's not just a small high, it's a fucking high.
Exactly.
Like, it is numbing, knock you out kind of thing.
It's meant for medical procedures to be able to get you through those things, to be able to get you through C-sections and those type of things, and where it needs to be in a very, like, in a safer, more controlled environment. So that's where I do understand. Of course, it makes sense to have, harm reduction sites or safe injection sites to be able to make sure that people aren't alone. However, one thing, one of the policies, and we'll keep it bipartisan here, but we'll just say that one of the policies was about wanting to maybe dial back on some of those locations that are not performing well well, for example, just handing out stuff without extra support, and fund that into having full-blown nurses there to be able to help and place them into proper care, as well with repeat criminals, instead of going to jail, putting them in mandatory treatment to be able to get better. And again, that having the choice, it's like, you know, if you, and this is for people that I'm talking like are doing crime, not just doing drugs, not small offenses. It's like,
it's a mandatory run through.
Exactly. But instead of just going to jail and just, you know, doing all that, let's put them in a place to support. So I really like to see that at least the conversations being had across the board on all sides. And that is really nice. But I do also believe that more conversation needs to be had about decriminalization. So when I'm going through the statistics, I don't know why that one is always so hard for me. Going through the statistics, I've noticed that although when it decriminalized at the beginning of 2023, what you could see is a very big decrease in the amount of arrests, but you didn't see a decrease in the hospitalizations or deaths, right? So it's like, okay, they're not being arrested, but then over the year we've seen here in BC where it went crazy, where they're doing it in parks, they're doing it in hospitals. Like nurses were having to wear like those N95s because they were smoking crack in the hospitals in Camel River. This is not a joke. Actually happened in the hospitals. So after a year, they dialed back and they say, okay. You cannot do this in public places anymore, and get the power back to the police to arrest them. And obviously the arrests went up after that. And it's like, okay, so obviously decriminalizing it didn't help in the ways that we hoped that it would help. Right?
Well, you should reverse quick.
Exactly. And so now it's just like, okay, I'm glad that we're doing that, and we've reversed it, because we really shouldn't be doing that in public, because, you know, people pay taxes, right? Like there's all these different ways that people's taxes, like we pay for parks and stuff, and they shouldn't have to be able to see needles. And I don't know if it was like that in Alberta, but here, when they decriminalized, it was everywhere, like every fucking where. And now it's cleaned up the parks, but like, it was bad when it was a free-for-all. Like that wasn't the play.
I'd really love for them to stop offering the safe drug kits at schools.
Yes, please. Let's stop doing that. That's the thing for realsies.
That's where it started to get really like
the lines
like
crossed.
It was just starting to really, well, it crossed like egregiously, but it just like really like, I'm sorry, we're handing out snorting kits.
What the fuck are we doing?
Safe, like showing kids how to like on
it's like
what?
Dare, but on
like
steroids.
well, and like it's kind of similar to their stance on like the LGBT shit. Like it's like, well, they need to know it's good to have options and to learn how to do it safe and this and that. And it's like,
not children though, not babies.
No, like
we talk about that at appropriate time, and like, I'm not gonna lie. I
don't even know how to safely do any of this, and you're just gonna start introducing it to children. Like half the fucking adult population has no fucking clue what to do with half that fucking paraphernalia and shit.
Nor
and I
should
fucking do drugs. Like, hello. Like, what the fuck? Why are you teaching that to? I don't care. Oh, it's high school. I don't care.
I know.
You might as well go hand them out some fucking Plan B and condoms while you're at it, which like is still kind of inappropriate. Like
I think all school stuff, like it should, like an extra thing where parents can bring their kids to talk. Like, you know, I think the conversation should be had, like, but it should be an extra
centers or like local like clinics and stuff where they put on a seminar for people, police, fire department to go and have with your kids and everything. But like the fact that they're just like normalizing it, that's what 1,000% what they're doing. They're like completely standardizing.
I feel like that's what they did with Dare.
Here's a Coke straw at your high school. The fuck? And I love you guys, but some of the stuff coming out of your province.
Don't even get me started. Don't even
bless you, but like what the
don't bless me. Burn it all down, because this is ridiculous. And that's where I'm struggling, right? Because people are saying, well, these policies, well, BC is the first place that we're doing all these things
too. That applies as well.
Exactly. And it's, again, I'm not saying that it should, but like outside of a hospital, imagine being someone that is rehabbing and they're really trying to get away and they're getting sick from that, and all of a sudden you walk out of the hospital and like, I'm not saying it shouldn't exist, but why couldn't that be at the safe supply, you know, in certain areas? And again, just like, and I'm not trying to be rude. Yeah, but like, okay, let's just talk on a high level. I know it's not the same, but like chocolate cake cupcakes, okay, they're fucking delicious. I struggle with my need to have those. If they're there, I'm gonna eat one. It's gonna happen. But if I have to drive my ass to the store to get one, I'm probably not doing it. Now, I understand fentanyl and cupcakes are two different things. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if you went
and stuck a cupcake dispenser in your neighborhood, it probably wouldn't bode well for you, because then it's an easy walk.
Everyday cupcake.
It's not so much to drive that it is to go, like,
Exactly.
Fuck.
So here's like a personal story, I guess. Okay, so when I first moved to Red Deer, I was just coming off Tylenol 3 addiction. What I thought was, but didn't turn out what I was trying to get away from. And didn't have a doctor, so but you could get Tylenol ones. So, but you had to register your name. So I would go to different pharmacies to get Tylenol ones. Like you do things that you don't imagine that you would do, and it's just a one level, and I would take like 3 Tylenol ones to equate to a Tylenol 3, right? Like so, and that's not me now as a person, and so like I understand and I empathize so hard because I was like I said, one accident away. If someone would have given me fentanyl or an opioid or whatever, anything close to, like, I don't know what I would do, because at that time in my life, I did absolutely want to numb the fuck out in any way that I could. So I really understand that, but at the same time, it just makes me sad when they're not supported and they're just given drugs to not decentivize to stop, right? It's just why would they?
I don't like that it seemingly can be put into anything these days either.
And that too.
That fucking scares the shit out of me. That honestly, like, oh my God, like it can be in any drug. I feel like I'm like almost scared. Like smoking weed that I don't know who you are, like stresses me out.
Yeah,
like
that never used to be a word for us.
Like, okay, so weird story. Went on a girls' night. We went to the JW Marriott, the Ice District Hotel.
Okay, cool.
And fucking fanciest hotel I've ever been to, by the way.
Bitch.
I highly recommend. It was a very
butthole for that or what? Just
I'm gonna have to Nick because like
TBD.
it was a bit of a night. But that being said, it's like a fancy ass hotel, and as we're walking in from our girls' night out, completely like gone, there's a full government joint, like a pre-rolled joint on the ground, and me, because I'm me, pick it up and I take it upstairs, and my girlfriend is like she's just absolutely cursing me out the whole time. She's like, are you kidding me? We have money, we have drugs, we don't need those drugs, like we've got other drugs. And I'm just like, bro, I'm not turning down, if you find $5 sitting there, you're not gonna pick it up. She's like, no. I'm like, well then we're not the same. I'm gonna pick that $5 up. I want that $5.
Yes. 100%.
So we're laughing about it, but then the more like I put it upstairs with ours when we got to the hotel room, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, I really don't even know whose that was, what that is, who could have put something in that. And it started to really stress me out because we were downtown Edmonton.
You just never know.
And downtown Edmonton ain't so fucking hot now more. Like it is just, I would not. There's a guy
sitting. Gasoline Alley? Is that the main?
No.
Oh.
So we were on.
No, but that's the main. Was that the main?
The what?
Party place? Like, is that a place that party? No.
Oh, Oil City. No, Gasoline Alley. Isn't that in Red Deer?
Maybe.
Isn't it like?
Why does that sound for? Probably. I don't know. I was only down there for like 6 months, and then I was gone.
No, White Ave was my.
White Ave. Thank you. That's what I was thinking.
White Ave was my haunt. I never went downtown. And downtown scared the shit out of me. And now it scares even more shit out of me because, like, 100%. Truly though, like, especially when they show you, like, the size that can overdose you is so minimal. Like, like dogs, cats. Like, I'm surprised there's not more pets just fucking falling dead because they found something, sniffed something, licked it by accident, and
and that's what the big complaint was by decriminalizing it and opening it for people to do it in public. Now. It's just everywhere. So dogs, kids, anybody, if it's just laying on there.
Kids, my God, at a playground, they pick it up, don't realize it's on their hands, go to like eat something and lick their fingers. I'm dead. I would fucking rage.
And again, that's what I'm saying. So I'm really glad that they walked that back because, like, like it's one thing, your body, your choice. Again, like if you're an adult, like I'm not saying, I just want people to have support. I understand how it must be terrifying to feel like people think like you're a criminal and a bad person. Like that really sucks. And I don't want anybody to ever feel that way. In the same sense, though, I also don't want to be like, keep doing that. That's good for you, because it's not, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think that people do, but I just like, I really struggle to be like, keep doing this. Like, I'm more just like, okay, like, how can we make sure this is as safe as possible? And while we're doing this, how do we get you into moving into Exactly. Yeah. And I know that's not always easy. Like, you could go back several different times, but at least
megaphones
is like at least trying to help, right? Like that's all. That's all I want to see is just more help and support, because I just don't think throwing money at it and just having these sites are just fixing it.
It's just, they're throwing money at it and then just like doing nothing though. It's not like they're building these sites. It could come here, get high. And like you said, it's just like, there's none of the, okay, now that you're here, have you considered, or like, would you like to, like, the rehabilitation is completely not thrown money at. They haven't invested in it. They haven't really, or at least I haven't seen it. There's no like, like next to every single one of these safe sites should be a complete like rehab facility, like, or something. Like they should be interconnected. It should not be like well, it's there.
Yeah.
If you go looking for it, some of these people don't go looking for it, and it's not until it's right in their face that they're going to do
talking to them. Like,
it.
even if there's a sign, like sometimes, you know, there's sign and it's like, you don't even look at it, right? So it's like having the conversation, right? And I know some people aren't, but, and maybe it's happening because I have watched some documentaries where people are out there trying to help. And I can only imagine, like I said, like, that's so fucking heartbreaking.
Just handing it out that aren't the help, you know?
Right, exactly. And that's what I mean. More money should be putting into supporting resources and mental health and getting people back into society. And how can we do that? Like, you know, like, how do you integrate yourself back in, especially if you have spent a long time onto the streets? Like, not saying you have to be like, you know, get in there and get all these jobs, but how do you get back into a normal life? Absolutely. But just like rehab.
It's a complete, like, indoctrination into, like, it's a whole new world. It is a completely different, like, set of rules. Like, I feel like that is kind of crazy. You can't do this right now because mommy's talking and it's too loud. Can we do it later? Or you can do it in the bedroom, but you cannot bring this out here. Do you hear me?
No.
Oh, bless. I'm going to apologize if this is like a complete failure plan, but I'm going to turn it as low as I can.
We're going to get a live concert, and then when she's famous one day,
let's see if I can.
We make money. That's really cute.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello. Ooh, no, I can't hear it at all. There we go.
Oh, there you are.
There you go. Take it.
See, now she's a real people. Now she's a real podcaster. She's gonna be but yeah, that's so cute.
Sorry.
Oh, what a little angel. You're good. You're good, sweetheart. But yeah, so like we said, okay, so we did some research, and seeing the numbers are crazy, but like you said, as we jump into this, we're like, okay, what is actually fentanyl? Like you said, it obviously started medically, and like, what does that actually look like? So I found this like kind of article here explaining a little bit. So fentanyl was created in 1959 by Dr. Paul Janssen as an intravenous surgical analgesic. Why can't I speak English today? The drug is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. Because its strength, the drug was rarely used. Rarely used except for in hospital operating rooms and in large animals. So yeah, when it first came to be, for the exact same reason that, you know, obviously epidural was probably, maybe it wasn't just like an epidural at that point. Maybe it was just...
Sure it's been morphine for as long, like before, like my mom had morphine when she had me. I'm pretty sure it was morphine, and then they've recently switched to fentanyl because it's been fentanyl for a bit, I think.
Because it's saying...
Because it's way, they can use a lot less and get a way better effect as well.
Yeah, and I think it's more instantaneous, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So it's saying in the 90s, a new transdermal skin patch for fentanyl was developed to treat chronic pain. The non-surgical delivery mechanism offered some unique advantages over other drugs, including quick onset of action, relatively few cardiovascular risks, and low histamine release. These attributes made it a great prescription choice for some patients because it reduced some of the risks of medical complications than pain relief have. So, yeah.
Think about that. It's stronger than morphine and quicker acting. Like, that's scary as fuck.
I think that's scary too as fuck because, like, even just thinking, like, as a user, that quick onset, and I'm just speaking out of my ass, but just thinking, like,
that would fuck me up.
And that's the thing that I think I think is the crazy part, because then it's like, how do you even have a second to, like,
you don't.
That, right? That's what I mean. Like, and that's why I absolutely, not saying that we need some slow release fentanyl, but Jesus Christ, like, I think that's a major, like, aggressive. Yeah, because it's like,
you have to be where you want to be type thing. Like, that's fucked.
Yeah, like, I'm always a person too, and I'm not good at drugs, y'all. Like, I like to take Molly from time to time, but I really, like, as I age too, like,
mushrooms and weed for me.
Yeah, it just really gives me more anxiety, especially chemicals, only because, especially with my Tylenol 3 addiction and all that, like, and I've taken sometimes a little too much Molly and rolled a little too hard, and I've taken a little bit too much ecstasy back in my day.
That passed away just after high school.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The chemicals kind of stressed me out a bit too.
They do, right? And but, you know, like, but I understand at that point, I was so cool with Western medicine at that time, and I didn't know it. I was just like, I was like, well, this will be fun, right? And, like, especially pharmaceuticals, I didn't think about...
It's Tylenol, right?
Yeah, it's Tylenol 3, and then it's just like, oh, I have to take like 4 or 5 Tylenol 3 to feel the same that I used to, and then it just
look at aspirin.
Yeah.
Pop aspirin daily, sometimes multiple times a day for heart issues and stuff. People pop Tylenol like candy, M&Ms.
Tylenol, I will take it if I'm feeling like shit. Now will be Advil if I have to. If I've smoked, I've drank water, I've stretched, I've had a nap, I've had a shower. Yeah. bitch headache.
Like bullshit ass headache
Yeah,
for me to consider
same.
taking Tylenol or Advil.
Yeah, and if I do, it will be Advil. There's just something I think it's my guts are like, please don't, with all the years of Tylenol 3 abuse. Like and I think that's what it's me too. It's like once you get past once you get past the addiction, I think it like, I don't know what anybody else, and again, never taken fentanyl, but like just pharmaceuticals, like it makes my stomach sick thinking about what it would feel like now, you know?
Do people shoot fentanyl? I haven't really, like, is there multiple ways to take it? Can you snort it, eat it, shoot it? Like, does it matter how you take it as long as you ingest it? I haven't, that's the one thing I haven't really like looked into is how do you smoke fentanyl?
Yeah, I don't actually know that question. I guess I should have looked into it. Well, let's see if we'll keep going to see, but it looks like in the medical side, lozenges, lollipops, tablets, and nasal spray versions soon followed under such names as Attic, Duragestic, and Sublimaze. The ease and effectiveness of these user-friendly delivery methods led to abuse, and fentanyl analog market was born. So fentanyl analog, I believe, is the like criminal manufactured drug. So like the modified structures to be able to avoid being called a controlled substance. So it's like, and I think that's why looking at border security, that's why we're seeing more of the other drugs being come in and not fentanyl, because fentanyl is exactly, or like it's the one that's known as like a certain substance, so it has. I
was gonna say like the stats you sent and like the numbers, I was looking at it and I was gonna comment, but I tried to save everything for when we talk. But like, what were we worried about? The numbers, one of the numbers was like 31 versus like the thousands of other kinds and like other places. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is the big deal? Until I'm like, oh my God, it's all being made here.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
And that's what led me to that border thing, because I was like,
no wonder the states don't like us, no offense. It's coming from here.
It's coming from here. And that's what I was meaning by like, so when I'm reading it saying that ingredients are coming here, and we're not stopping those ingredients because they're not illegal necessarily substances if they're separated and not together.
Things,
right? And so here is saying in 1999 to 2011, the death rate in the United States, this is from the United States, in the U.S. due to opioid analgesics nearly quadrupled, then began to skyrocket around 2013, 2014. This timing coincided with the first detection of illicit pills containing fentanyl analogs, and other novel synthetic opioids use, such as U-47700. So I think, again, it's like there was something medical that was there that people were getting addicted to, but obviously couldn't afford it. So then they're looking for alternatives. They're making different alternatives. They're making other ways so that they're not getting arrested for these types of things because they fall under different policies, like especially here in Canada. This is in the States. But they also signed an executive order in 2017, the president, because they had 45,000 drug-related deaths that year. So same with the States and same with Canada, our numbers jumped at the same time. And it's like, what fucking happened between 2015 to 2017 for the spike to go? And then just like, we know the pandemic was, but like, we can understand the pandemic and the rise of the pandemic. What happened in that area to make that jump just as much as the pandemic and the isolation? You know, I was trying to think what happened in 2015 that would have, was there like an economic crash? Like what would have pushed the opioids?
We did have like the shitty econ in 2008. So I feel like 15, 16, 17 would have been, I got laid off in 16. So I think it was 16, to be honest with you. I think it was the econ.
Right? And it's just like, is
I
that...
was laid off in 16. Yeah, I think it was the economy kind of did a fucking shitty down spike.
And then too, if it's being out for, well, obviously it's been out for a while, but as it curates itself and is changing different things, and then, you know, and so I do have to wonder, like, where does this all come from? But going back to quickly the border seizures, and like to your point, when I was looking at numbers, I just thought this was super interesting because when I was looking at these numbers, I really expected the top thing to be fentanyl at the border seizure, and it's not. So in 2024, there was, this is in grams, so it was actually cannabis. It was 5.6 million grams. That was just in the first quarter. So 14 million grams of cannabis was seized, but fentanyl, and again, this is a lot when you consider how much fentanyl, like little fentanyl, can kill people, but only 4,500 grams were seized versus 20.5 million of other narcotics, drugs, and chemicals. So when you look at that number, and we know that the epidemic and people are dying of fentanyl, it's not a question of fentanyl being a problem. It's that it's not necessarily traveling through our borders or they're doing it really sneaky. It sounds more to me that these other drugs...
It's in that last category of medical ingredients and all kind of the miscellaneous
the other drugs and chemicals.
I just tried to Google it, which I hope I don't have people knocking on my door later because I have a child.
It's okay. I've been Googling. We have the podcast as the proof.
Fentanyl.
Yeah, it's okay.
Ingredients.
Yes,
but,
podcast proof. It's research.
I can guarantee you it's probably how do you get a hold of that? Like, you probably have to, I would assume you need to have a license to purchase that stuff.
Hey, man.
And that also fucks me up that it's like the people we trust and like the doctors and like the people with licenses to order shit like this that are fucking bringing this into our country to then sell secondhand and like black market to the drug dealers to then make themselves. Like, that whole story is
and too, I think that you can just buy this shit from other countries, and I think so.
Probably.
And like, and too, when you're hearing about like borders and our what do you call them, where the big sea cans come in, the ports, like, and stuff like that, right? Like, if they're not being the shipping yards, if they're not being vetted, they can bring in a bunch of this stuff, right? And so it's like,
that's where the money needs to go too, is like, it needs to be like if we were serious about it, we would have diligent, like, all the ingredients on that list, yes, can be made to use to make other things. However, I want to know what it's coming in for. Like, there needs to be checks and balances for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it needs to be, what is this for? Who is it for? Due diligence needs to be done. They need to be waiting at the border in some warehouse until all checks are completed. Like, yes, it's a big deal. Yes, it's a big job. Not underestimating that. Yes, it's big money, but like, we are currently spending big money elsewhere where we shouldn't be, that we could reallocate funds to help our fucking people who are suffering on the streets of this shit.
Yes. And also, like, I'm sorry, how much money and safety precautions did we take during the pandemic? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I'm
if
sorry.
We have it there what? To do that, this is a pandemic. This is the current one. This is a new one that for some reason isn't a big deal because the TV isn't telling you it's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Even though they do tell you, we do see it. It's just not like that big a deal.
It's not a counter. It's not a counter of it every day.
Affect our lives.
Everyday people's lives. Right? But there are people with families too, right? It does, but
friends, it's like, you know, it does, but at the same time, for the vast majority, they don't give a shit because it doesn't affect them, which is a fucking shit mindset. But we all fall into it because we have shit to do and lives to live and shit to think about.
Can't afford dinner.
I don't see it in my face sometimes. Yeah, no, I'm not going out of my way to depress myself and like look into these shitty stats.
But also, here's the thing though, is that we pay taxes and our money goes to those professionals to do that though, right? It's not saying that you can't volunteer your time and it's not that you can't do those things, but we pay 44.3% taxes so that these services are available for individuals. So what we're saying is, hey, okay, guess what? I can have grace and be like, listen, I understand you went with something. You know, I've been in a liberal place for a very long time, NDP. Okay, I can understand you went and tried. Statistically speaking, it is not helping. It didn't eliminate deaths of opioid. It didn't help people decrease it. It's not helping in the way that you did. So let's reverse decriminalization. Thank you. But you didn't say sorry and you didn't really admit. You just kind of rolled it back quietly. But whatever, we'll let that go.
Acknowledgement of your blunder.
Exactly. But again, just throwing money and saying we're just going to keep opening sites. I just don't truly believe that's the way to fix things and help things. And I really hope, again, that the focus is to, one, how do we get to the root cause? What led you to addiction? And whatever area that is, you go to, whether that was sexual abuse, domestic violence, whether that was, hey, you just got in a car accident, foster care. Like, there's so many fucking different avenues. Maybe you're a drug addict and you just wanted more. Maybe you took it by accident one time and you just got addicted to it. Like,
hell, I had a random back spasm once. It hurt so bad. I got prescribed this shit called Baclocet.
Okay.
And let me tell you, at work, people said I was sitting there like, just like completely out of it, completely gone. So I told Nick, I said, I see why people get hooked on those. I just felt nice. I felt good. I was sitting there like, hey, what's that?
That's like Tylenol 3. I was always like everything's
and good. I told him, I said straight up, because I'm glad I'm not like, I don't have a habit or a routine of taking shit daily. Because if I had with vitamins, I could have probably gotten stuck where I just told Nick, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
anything with a release
now, and I get it. Like, let's throw these out. I don't think we threw them out. I think they're downstairs in my emergency.
It's nice to have once in a while,
random
right?
Thing, because they were painkillers. They're old as fuck and probably not very good, but it's probably seriously like, I get it.
Oh man, and that's what I said.
It
Like,
is a
I'm a
nice
pill popper. I get
feeling.
it. I get it. And that's why I struggled to even go on anxiety medication at first because I was like, oh, I'm a addictive, like I'm a pill addict, so I don't know if I really want to go. And mom's like, well, it's a little different, right? Because it's like you take it every day, and
Yeah.
it's, you don't take it. It's not like a Prozac, right? Like, so
Yeah.
that's why I've never gotten too deep into any of those ones where you take like an Ativan and then it
Yeah.
heightens you, because that was my addiction, is like take me away from where I
Yeah.
am, right? Where it wasn't like,
I
I
have a
don't know,
family member that
SSRI
did
was different.
Ativan and stuff for anxiety, and
That's why I had to work
I
through
love
it.
her endlessly, but I feel like it's completely changed her. So has
Yeah.
life in general. She's just not the same person, and it is just she's just not the same person.
And that's what I didn't want to be. I was like, I'm 26 years old and I'm popping 4 or 5 Tylenol 3. I'm
Yeah.
zonked out most of the time. Like, don't even talk to me about my poop and my guts at that point, because that was non-existent. Like, but we don't talk about those things either, right? So it's just like, this is where I have
I feel
compassion
like
for
that's where
people.
the
'Cause I get
discomfort
it.
comes, and people don't really understand like I haven't like I don't agree that there's withdrawals with smoking weed. I get a little bitchy the first or second day, and my temper's like my patience is a little thin, but
Yeah.
after that I'm fine. Like it's only a day or two, but serious withdrawals and serious come downs from drugs and getting your body back to like a homeostasis where it's like functioning. Lola, don't you dare eat that off the you absolute bitch. But like getting your body back there is not a fun task. It is not
No.
something that someone should be made to do by themselves.
No.
And facilities should most certainly exist. Like, okay, if CHS, that shit is apparently like a closer fraction to what like withdrawals and like serious like drug pain issues, like gut issues
Yeah.
is. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst fucking enemy. And I had mild cases by the sounds of it. The one ER doctor told me that there's some people in there screaming bloody murder, like losing their mind.
Yeah. I'm not laughing at that. It's just like, Mom.
No, I know.
She's just such a person now, you know? She's just
No.
such a lump when we first started.
But yeah, like
this is why Haley's isn't on the show all the time. Just don't think there's a
Yeah.
caller daddy situation.
I would
here.
show
It's
you
only
her,
because
but she's
she
in
has
her
a
little Stitch Ginch bent over right now. That's
yeah,
inappropriate.
we're good. No, we don't want to get sued. Or
Just
not
keep-
sued. We don't want any
But
creeps.
it's 1,000% easier when she's little. But yeah, no, like you need to give support is all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yes.
To like withdrawals and like trying to kick something that I don't think people really understand the grips that something like fentanyl, crack, heroin can really get in you. And
Yeah.
like your body hurts when you don't take it. So if you don't take it, it's 10 times worse. And like, how do you expect people to come off of that and want to come off of that when they have no help? They're sleeping on the streets. They don't have the things they need or people
No
there
hope
to like
either.
help. And 9 times out of 10, it's help their mental and to help soothe them and tell them like, no, you can do this. I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you need ice chips? Do you need a drink? You need to fight it. And like having someone in your corner just kind of like rooting you on. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
that alone, therapy and that kind of thing,
Aside.
like it is so valuable in that situation that it needs to be invested in, and it
Yes.
needs to be a priority when it comes to this. Like we're probably going to be a broken record this whole episode because that is the one portion that they missed, and it
Yes.
is like surprising that like how do you miss that part of it? Like it's literally the other half of the problem. Like,
And that's what I mean. Like, and if you hear a lot of people that have recovered, a lot of them will say like that's the biggest part is the community, everyone together, because everyone's going through the ups and downs and the roller coaster of treatment and healing and all that kind of stuff. And some days you're really down and some days you're really up. And then so it's good to have the people around you to validate your downs. But like, yeah, exactly, a support system. And I think that's it. I think most often than not, it was the isolation. So that's why it's like, okay, I get decriminalization, but I think what it has to be education and conversation and support in the rehabilitation. And I think if people can, also people that have bad opinions of drug addicts, if they're part of that rehab, I think they see a different side and compassion.
It needs to be a collaborative kind of everyone where like even if you don't have an issue, you need to learn what this issue, because honestly, I would be very confident in saying that I feel like almost everyone at this point has a family member that does a drug.
100%.
Whether it be pharmaceutical, whether it be just simply smoking weed after work when they're stressed.
Yep.
I'm a marijuana mama when I'm fucking done with my day and she's in bed and I've had one.
Yep.
You bet.
Hell yeah.
or how they're taking prescription pills or they microdose for mental health reasons. Like everyone probably is affected, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yes.
And it's not that all addicts are crazy, bad, homeless lunatics.
No, a lot of them
Some
have
homeless,
corporate jobs.
Some are lunatics, yes. But some are mothers. Some are corporate workers. Some are CEOs. Some are school teachers, lawyers, fucking your neighbors. Like, it's everywhere. And it is one of those things that, no, it doesn't directly affect us all the time, but it's literally everywhere. Yeah,
it does though, because if you think about all the sources, and it's not that taxes shouldn't go to that, but I just feel like, again, that's why we want to talk about it, because I don't feel like it's been handled correctly. Throwing money at the problem and just opening more and more access to being able to do this, I don't think is the right personal. And we've seen it over the last 10 years because it just keeps spiking. And where are we seeing the spikes? Times of economic pressure, times of isolation, times of mass division is where we see people start using more than ever. And, so what are the supports that we can put in? And I really am glad that the conversation is at least happening, because I personally think conversing and talking and sharing experiences and having people that have recovered or in the middle of recovery come out and talk about those things and inspire others, but also for those that have never had an addictive bone in their body, to understand exactly, right? Just being like, they're not just nobody, because we know what it felt like to be dehumanized during the pandemic.
It's no different than when we used to get people like that in school. In our health class, in one of our classes, we had like someone who gambled and lost everything. He gambled his life away. He came in and talked to us. We had a schizophrenic come and talk to us. I don't think we had a drug addict, to be honest with you.
But we did have dare and shit like that. So I think that was a little bit more.
I feel like under the right circumstances, and granted, if I wanted to, I would be welcome to like attend. I would be more comfortable with Evie having a discussion with a ex-drug addict than I would a drag queen.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
In school. Absolutely. I would approve of that, because to me, warning them off of things like that does need to kind of start young. And in school it should, because that's where peer pressure is at its hardest when we're younger, and where it's at its strongest. And that's when you start kind of giving it. So that to me is an acceptable kind of like in your health class, or like an extra like presentation that they like present to certain age students. That I agree
especially
with.
Through like science too, right? Like understanding the science compounds and like pharmaceuticals.
Science class. I feel like there's a few that you could really lump in there, because education on some things should start young. That being said, I do also agree that like it should be up to the parents.
We just don't need it in forms of snort kits. Like, you know what I mean?
It's the encouragement and the normal. It shouldn't be that. It should be, this is what they are. This is what you avoid. Yeah. It's not a handout. It's not a pamphlet. Like, that is so weird. No. Do we know? I don't like, God, I hate admitting this because people always like look down at me, but I don't always like fully understand everyone's campaign in elections. I don't like word for word each bullet point. Yes. Is there anyone in our current soon to be election federal that is boasting helping like they all are at this point? They have to be. It has to be a main,
so like
it has to be
taking a bipartisan stance here, looking it up today here. Just and people that have seen this on YouTube, apologies, this is going to be repeat. NDP has not really talked about it. They talked about it in 2022, but they're also backing, and we've seen what NDP has done here in BC, so we kind of know their stance is like free for all, do whatever, throw money at it. Mark Carney and the Liberals had a write-up about this big, saying that they wanted to put money towards the treatment centers. And it's going to be hard for me for this one to be like, stand in the middle, but Pierre and the Conservatives have talked about how they actually want to remove some of the safe supply and injection sites and put more nursing and supports within the ones that are there. But he really wants to bolster treatment centers and for repeat repeat criminals, have the offer to go to jail with treatment. And then for people that are just doing personal drugs that become repeat offenders, giving them the mandate treatment for people that are really sick to go and get like mandated treatment. So there's a big write-up about it, and I talked about it on an episode on the Conservatives. So that is something very big, because that is something, again, that he has criticized for a long time. Since back since 2020, he's been talking about the opioid crisis and how the safe supply. And again, I understand. So here's the thing when you talk about these things is that I understand that it has saved a lot of people, and I understand a lot of people that are going current stuff, but at the same time, you can criticize stuff, right? So one thing I just want people to think about is what's happening is there's actually a whole new side of people that are actually doing drugs now that there is something called safe supply, because they didn't want to do fentanyl, they didn't want to do opioids, but when they hear something called safe supply and those type of drugs, and then it comes from the government and the pharmacies, then they're starting to do that because it's safer. So what the pharmacist has said, and I really want people to go watch the show Canada is Dying by Aaron Gunn. I've mentioned this many times on the show. It's on YouTube.
It's honestly so depressing.
It's so depressing, but it is a true depiction of what's going on with that too. And basically, he had a pharmacist on. Yeah, and he had a pharmacist on basically saying, like, you guys think that they're just going off and doing these safe supplies, but they're actually selling it to get harder drugs. And now they're looping people into safe supply and doing drugs. And when they can't get it, they go do harsher drugs. So you're actually just funneling this. And we know this because there was an email leaked in the BC NDP that was basically saying this is funneling more drug trafficking than doing good.
We also all saw the video of them selling it to like high school kids behind the safe supply store.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. Let's continue that. Exactly. And that's the thing, like these people, like safe supply or not, it's still a drug. So they're going to go get the free safe supply and go sell it on the street. Like the fact that they don't think that that's happening is quite like,
it's not everyone too, right?
Like, and I think delusional enough to think that they're not just going to want to sell. Because they have to, is it mandatory that they don't have to do the safe supply there, obviously?
No. They can take it.
That should be it. If you're coming to get this, you're doing this drugs in this fucking room with me now. Yeah. And then you can go hang out in the waiting room and fucking do whatever. But like, that is where, like, that's another, like, how are you missing? Like, there's just so many holes in what they had set up that, like, we understand, like, the attempt, but at the same time, like, it was like it wasn't even like a quarter baked attempt.
No, not even a quarter baked attempt.
So much to go with it. Yes, Baba. I'm sorry.
And I think that's the biggest criticism is like nobody's criticizing to say that, you know, you're attempting to make it better. But when we realize that it's doing more damage, can we walk it back? Can we apologize? Can we say, hey, maybe this didn't work out, instead of quietly just changing policy and going, this didn't really work out. Okay, you were so hell-bent that it was going to work and now it didn't. Why aren't we having the conversations? Okay, what did you find? Why do I have to
stop
go search this?
Over accountability.
Yes, absolutely.
We seem to really gloss over a lot these days in this country when it comes to government and people in charge, you know? Yeah. They like to gloss over when they fuck up and then they'll just fix it and it's not a big deal. Look, it's fixed though. Yeah. Okay, but we also want you to sit here and fucking say to our face that unfortunately, our first attempt was not successful. However, here's how we're going to
fix it.
Now fix this. Like, it's not just a sweep it under the rug. Ooh, my bad. No, but look, it's good now. Like,
and what did the data?
And to pretend like you didn't change it at all. And
there's no cornucopia
all the time.
No, and that's what it is, right? So it's just like having that honest visibility. So pulling up some key updates here, and this is right off the healthinfobase.ca, the graphics or the numbers that you were talking about. So right now, this is reported in 2024. Again, so remember, all these different measures have come into place, and we have not seen it dip below pre-pandemic numbers, right? Because really, it's hard to look before that, because if they weren't really collecting this data until 2016, it's kind of hard to compare in the early 2000s. I'm sure it was lower, but it just exponentially keeps going. So it sounds like there's 21 deaths per day on average, and that is 5,626 apparent opioid toxicity deaths. So it is 12% lower than in 2023. Pardon?
Is that Canada-wide? Or is that just BC?
Yes. No, this is supposed to be Canada-wide. This is from the government of Canada. That was just in 1 year.
That's gnarly.
That's just 1 year. And then there was
21 people a day.
21 people a day. Then there was 4,241 opioid-related poisoning hospitalizations, which it sounds like it's a little bit lower than 2023. So that's 15 hospitalizations per day on average. People are going to the hospital. I almost want to look back and look at the COVID stats of like...
I'm going to do that right now!
Because
I'm like, I want to know how many people died of COVID, and I want to know how many people died of fentanyl since then.
And like,
I can Google this now.
I know, right? And so that's why. And so before this episode, like I was told you, I was looking at the mortality rate of just BC, and the top numbers have never always been COVID. Yeah.
Okay, so coronavirus cases, 5 million roughish. So about just under 60,000 deaths total. So that was over what?
3 years.
Actually, this is last updated April 13th, 2024.
So that's 4 years.
That's 4 years. So in 4 years, like, I guess it's gone up since then, so we could do the same, I guess.
So was that 45,000 you said it was?
It was just under 60, 59,034.
I will say average 4 years. So that's about 14,000 people a year. I mean, I guess that's hard to say because it was like squished in the amount of time, because I was looking at data and it was like people weren't dying, but then they were, and then it stopped, and then they were again. So probably not the best. That's probably not the best numbers. But 45,000 as well, and 50,000 of opioids. You know what I mean? Like it's like, it's obviously a big number, and that's the point. Is like, why were people talking about this? Why weren't people more? Oh, I lost my page. More upset about this. So it was saying that 19,599 opioid-related poisoning emergency department visits. 20,000 people in a year went to the emergency for opioid-related poisoning.
In 2024
In
alone.
2024, yeah. 28,000 emergency medical service response to suspected opioid-related overdoses. So, yeah, okay, so there's a total of 50,000 apparent opioid toxicity death reported between January 2016 to September 2024. So far in 2024, most 83% accidental apparent opioid toxicity death occurred in British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario.
Dude, I just did the math. That's 54. You said 28,000 hospitalizations a year for fentanyl?
Yeah, for 2024.
That is 76 a day. That's 76.7. So that's 77 hospital beds a day.
Going
for those of you concerned about pandemic type shit. That's a waste of resources on something that can be fixed.
That's something that we can help support, that we can help
something
push.
We can help support and drop that number drastically.
Yes, I would hope so.
Wild.
And what we're doing doesn't seem to be working. Most accidental apparent opioid toxicity deaths occurred among males, 72%, among individuals 30 to 39 so far in 2024 from January to September. So it looks like the main one is men, yeah, in our generation. Millennial men are
millennial men. I wonder why. Our poor freaking millennial people. Yeah. Shout out to us millennials, because we've been fucked around since day one.
We've really
like world crises
every single time. So majority
millennial men that are wow.
So get this one. There was 193,000 reported opioid-related poisoning emergency department visits from 2016 to 2024. Among these, 79 were accidental opioid-related emergency department visits. So again, we're worried about our healthcare strain, and obviously we care about people. Fuck off! Don't clip that. But we care about the people. But a big thing during the pandemic was the hospitals. They're being raided, and it's like, again, and I'm not discrediting that. But why aren't we putting more support? Helping. This isn't helping. This isn't helping anybody.
That's the funny thing to me, too, is like the absolute importance of all that during COVID, but it is then never talked about ever again daily when things like that. 77 beds a day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
who knows how long for the day is it, and who has, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but I'm just saying, like, if we had more support to get them into treatment centers, like, would that be the better place? A lot less, like, let's direct that, right? Like, let's direct that to
you have more facilities to house and to help and to rehabilitate, because honestly a lot of them are going to be rough, but not all of them are. No. Some people, just like Brandy and I's case, if we wanted to go and get clean, like, it would take a matter of days. Yes. Whereas some people that have been lifers, probably going to take a minute, because it's more of the mental
and getting it out of your body, right? Health. And the detoxing.
Our medical, they're all kind of hand in hand. These three, where we need to really take care of our mental health issue, in my opinion, first. Yes. We focus on this, and fentanyl will slowly trickle, and the medical system will it'll slowly start like kerplunking into place ish, because they all are so hand in hand that it all needs, like, you can't do everything at once. That's just kind of. We're not like we've been trying to do this, and it's not like we know it doesn't work. We do it in our everyday life. Like we see people do it. Well, we need to take steps, and they need to be taken. Like you said, you can't just throw money at it and say we're going to make them, but then never make them. You need to take and make the steps
Yes,
to
and
get
like
this rolling.
yeah, and having the resources there, but like following through and teaching them how to live a normal life and how to be able to get a job, how to write a resume, to be able to actually have rehab and treatment instead of just being like, oh, we're just going to keep throwing money at you and here's safe supply. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, but they're just going to keep like what incentivizes, like not in a rude way. Obviously, having a better life is enough incentive, but at the end of the day, too, we're
lifers to safe supply, because like what's the point of ever getting off it?
Well, and that's what I mean. Where's their hope? Where's to be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna give you this safe supply right now because let's get you making sure that the drugs and the levels are, matching as we come down, and we're gonna work through this. And as we're working through this, again, in treatment, they go through all of these things. And I'm not saying talk therapy is always best, but group therapy and even just community, I think, is just huge. Even if you're gonna go garden together.
Getting like a saline drip when you're not doing so hot during a certain stint of a come down could probably do wonders for someone who's fucking dehydrated, can't drink, can't eat because they're throwing up every 6 seconds. Like, do you think they have that on the street? No, they're just literally throwing up and not being able to eat anything.
Literally on the street and not exactly.
Doing that. And then it's like, why the fuck am I doing this? Go get me some fucking drugs. This isn't.
But it's no hope to feel better.
To have this wheel fully roll in motion, you need the other half of the wheel. You cannot roll a wheel with a big gap missing. Like, you need to have that so then it trickles and it causes the downhill like roll
healing
effect of it picks up. Okay, well, it's working. My buddy got clean and he's been doing really good, and like I could go to the halfway house with him and like start working at this place. He told me that's all. Like, they need to see, it needs to start happening more often, that they see people around them getting better, because then that's where the hope also comes from. And like talking to mental health professionals and group therapy, seeing other people, knowing that they're not fucking alone, because yes, they see people on the streets, but like, do you think they all talk to each other in weird therapeutic sessions? Probably not. Fucking not
definitely. I don't think so. Maybe, but
that is normal people.
No.
It's such a rare thing. You go to a therapist for a reason, because you don't just therapize on a regular basis with regular people, And
whatever you're doing is obviously maybe not at the current moment helping, right? And I just don't think they're given exactly. They're just not given hope, right? It's just like, again, okay, we can argue that it's better to give them safer stuff. Let's say when it comes to needles and pipes, I understand that there's a need for those things, but is it encouraging them to continue living there and just thinking that, it's improving? But it's like, I want you to actually get better. I want you to be so fucking stoked that you, like, as someone who has quit almost everything except for, like you said, weed, but like pharmaceuticals, where it was like, there wasn't a day where I wouldn't think about Tylenol 3 and how I was going to get more Tylenol 3 and who I was going to manipulate, what doctor, because I had multiple to get them. Benefits were not going to, like, benefits cover medication so easy, right? So it was really cheap and doctors would just do it. And so, like, you have to have a safe environment to be able to come down from that.
Me too, that like, I had friends that, like, I remember when we were younger, you could pay someone, there was a rumor you could pay someone like a couple $100 and they'd give you your license without having to take the test. Or like, it's crazy to me how many like workarounds there are for like
script doctors in the States,
like that. Like doctors, like I had a girl, well, I won't say girlfriend, I had a person I worked with when I was younger that like I was her relief, like at work, and it was just like a constant stream of like headaches and medical issues. And the one day, I'll never forget it, she said small town doctors that know you well, like know all the families, they're pretty good for writing prescriptions. And insinuated that her small town doctor, like in some rural Alberta town, is just freeballing these prescriptions out, and she's getting medical leave and like for headaches and like free medical this and like Botox injections for headaches and like weeks off for like headaches. And it's just like, I am a one person, I was 21, I'm like, I can't keep doing your job and my job, and it started to frustrate me, but there's nothing they could do about it because it's a medical issue and you couldn't touch it. And it's like, that is an acceptable form of like addiction. Yes,
it is.
You're
really
addicted to getting the time off, and like it's the mental of like, I don't know, it was just like a satisfaction, but it's the release. It like we said, addiction comes in so many forms. It's not even just
many
drugs, but
no. It's the behaviors are there, so you have to correct the behaviors. You have to correct the environment, not correct, but like you have to assess it at minimum to see where it's like, where's the root cause?
And your mental health. Yeah, those are the two first. Like if you're unhomed individual, as they're now saying, politically correct, if you're a homeless person and you do not have a place to go, we need to start somewhere there. Go to a shelter, go to somewhere, go to a state, like go treatment. To a, there needs to be the rehabilitation for homelessness alone.
Yes,
never mind drugs, just homelessness. Low income housing, like go somewhere there. And then if you're of sound mind and like ready to take this journey on your own, then you can go to treatment. But like,
Totally.
how many people are like that? Like we said, it's not the majority that are there willingly, and it's just like just a homeless problem.
Yeah.
Because homelessness comes with, like we said, a myriad of other things.
Yes, other reasons why.
I really hope like you're being bipartisan, I will be fully biased. I swear to God, that was the one thing that really, like, I was obviously always going to vote conservative, but that was one thing that made me the most proud, is he was the only fucking one. That was kind of a test question. I didn't know he had it on there.
I know.
He was the only one that actually said something about it, because honestly, that, like, I get like even some people on the right don't even like that, though, because like that's not the issue. We want freedom. We want fucking the APP. We want to be fucking sovereign. We want to fucking be a 51st state. I get that, and I can understand and sympathize with the feelings you're feeling, but like that is not the way to do this.
No, it's not.
I personally do not want to be a part of the States. I love Canada. Canada is my fucking home.
Yeah.
I want to repair our country.
Yes.
I want to get back to our country.
Yeah.
I don't want the quick solution.
No.
So yeah, although some people aren't happy with the way he did it, I'm just proud that he at least had something in his platform, and I will be pissed if he doesn't do something. I will be
we'll be holding him accountable
with the NDP. Like I won't vote for them at all, but like I will be just as pissed as them, because you made this promise. This is a big fucking problem.
Yeah.
And
the biggest.
Like the taxes, that's awesome. That'll benefit me. I'll love that. But like I also need something that isn't like it can't just be
humanitarian.
About us.
Yeah.
It needs to be humanitarian. There needs to be something that you are doing to help people that are severely fucked, because the last handful of years in this country has done that a lot to a lot of people. A lot of families have lost their homes due to fucking fires, due to floods, due to fucking economies. Like, we need to start helping our fucking people.
Yeah.
I don't care how rude that sounds.
Mismanaging our money.
Yeah. If you know me, you know I'm all for helping other people, but you need to put your own mask on before you put other people's masks, and we are in dire need of putting our own fucking mask on right now before we put anyone else's.
And just even putting the international aid aside, how much money has been, we've talked about this at length, Hales, like the amount of money that has been mismanaged in other avenues, right? Like even the Green Slush Fund, the Arrive scam app, like the pandemic, all of those things. And that's where we're all pissed. And it's like, listen, we're not saying that our money shouldn't go to social services or to help people. That is not fucking it at all. We're saying how it's being done currently, it needs to be reformed and done another way, because it's not working, and it's proved over the last 10 years it is not fucking working. So please, can we try something else? This is insane.
So a super funny thing that Nick and I noticed, our riding in Sherwood Park here, we are in NDP land here. We're trying to get conservative, but
interesting.
Yeah, our riding in our area is NDP. It was depressing as fuck. So Nick and I are driving around Sherwood Park, and we started seeing these signs. So we pay taxes, obviously, for people to maintain Sherwood Park. Sherwood Park's not a very big place. It's a hamlet. Yeah. There are signs in Sherwood Park that you can now adopt a storm drain. So when it rains, we can now go maintain that storm drain. And all I kept thinking was like, I'm sorry, what the fuck do I pay taxes for?
What?
Why am I maintaining a storm drain? You guys suck. Like, you guys barely clear snow. You guys still haven't fucking swept. There's rocks everywhere. Like, you guys, where is my money going exactly? Because 100%. Why the fuck do I have to adopt a storm drain to go clear it of debris? That is a fucking.
I feel like that is I feel like that's a municipal thing.
Get their asses up and start doing, like, what the fuck? I was like, I told Nick, I'm like, in small things like that I have no faith anymore. Like,
no,
what the fuck?
I know, and that's what people say. Well, we're not political. I don't want to be political, bitch. But you pay taxes, and it's being mismanaged, so you have to be. I know it's uncomfortable, but you have to be. And like, to me, there was a couple things. Again, like, this is going to be after the election, so it's going to be May 2nd, so who knows who fucking went in. Either way, we'll be all right. Fingers crossed, but we'll be all right. But at the end of the day, we really need to start holding people accountable and getting involved. So if liberals do go in, it's like, okay, you guys said, like you said you're going to do this. Now please live by it, because this is what's super important. But these are the things that I went and researched on each platform, because this is a big one that's important to me, because it's something that is literally killing so many Canadians, and they're really truly not treating it. I even think Carney even said, like, oh, in the States it's really bad, but up here it's not that bad. And I will agree. If you look at the numbers on border security versus the US to Mexico and Canada, like, we are very small in comparison to what comes through from Mexico. It was actually kind of crazy different.
it was kind of like shocking that we are taking the ass load of the punishment and like the flack when
it's not that bad. I mean, it's bad.
Like I said, those numbers really shocked me because I'm like, I expected these to be like through the roof and like thousands of pounds of the shit is coming in the way they talk about it. So I'm sitting there staring, and it took me a minute. That's why I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming in.
It's because it's exactly.
And I think that's where they need to start focusing their problem too, is like, you need to start cracking down on that because like, if you can find out who made donations to that, you can surely find out who's purchasing all these ingredients and go after them. Like 100%. That is the part, like our money needs to be spent on that shit. You want to crack down on fucking hard drugs? Start that because you know you're damn well capable. Anyone that comes in here, you have a manifest and a rider, you read that, and anyone that has it, you hold them and then you do some searches. Like it's not, if you and I as, no offense, because we're fucking awesome, regular degular us people can fucking think of this and figure that the fuck out.
I would think so.
What the fuck are you not thinking of this?
100%. 100%. And of course, because I'm nosy, I went and looked, and one thing I do want to like circle back around to, which I'm also interested in seeing when this started, is like shocking enough, the government is actually taking steps towards this. So this was off of, I know this is off the RCMP website, and basically, it's an article titled CBSA and RCMP Joint Investigation Leads to Criminal Charges and the Seizure of Synthetic Opioids More Potent Than Fentanyl. So this is from Mississauga, February 27th, 2025. So there was a pretty big...
over here too.
Yeah, so there's a big drug bust on January 3rd, 2025. There was 5 kilograms of narcotics seized.
5 kilograms?
5 kilograms. That's insane amount.
Jesus.
And so there's a bunch. There's MD, like there's tons of different ones, but at the bottom here, there's a couple notes that I just wanted to share. So Canada is investing $1.3 billion to bolster security at the border and strengthen the immigration system, all while keeping Canadians safe. As a part of Canada's border plan, the CBSA has launched Operation Blizzard, a targeted cross-country initiative aimed at intercepting illegal contraband arriving and leaving Canada, with a focus on fentanyl and other synthetic narcotics.
Okay.
Right? So from December 9th, 2024 to January 18th, 2025, which I will make note that Donald Trump did talk about tariffs because of this in November of 2024. So from December 9th, so don't say you didn't fucking know about it. Don't say you didn't know about it. From December 9th, 2024 to January 18th, 2025, the Canadian Integrated Response to Organized Crime Committee, composed of federal, provincial, and municipal law enforcement agencies, conducted a national sprint aimed at disrupting illegal fentanyl production and disruptions in Canada. So they are trying to work on it. It sounds like after, I think, threats were definitely made. But again,
it's wild that threats had to be made in the first place for you to focus on it. Like, I'm sorry. Come on, man. Like I said, if you and I and everyday people are looking at this and like, how is this seemingly such a difficult like solution? Like, it's not. All you got to do is figure out who's ordering ingredients and like work
start
down
making those things.
A big list, but like too fucking bad.
Then make it regulated. As much as I don't want, like, if it's killing people, this is what I don't understand. The measures that we took to the pandemic to keep people safe are far different than what we're taking for this like pandemic that we're having of everyday people.
They're not even the same. They're not even in the same category or like book at this point.
No, and that's what I find super frustrating. So it's just like, honestly, guys, like I agree with you. Like, compared to Mexico, I don't necessarily agree with us getting the tariffs as bad because of that purpose. But there's obviously another reason, and that was just one of them. But I do hope that it's something that he was hoping was a byproduct and really maybe bringing the focus off, because it did sound like up until end of 2024 when he started campaigning, it wasn't really. Exactly. Wasn't really cared about. And now it's like, no, this is making a big deal. So like, this is hurting a lot of people. And it sucks that it took American politics for a lot more Canadians to be paying attention to this.
I think that's the craziest part too, is like a lot of people like to say that it doesn't affect us. I hate him. He's the worst. He's ruining our lives. He's ruining Canada. And I just like the tariffs and this and that. And it just makes me laugh because whoever is thinking that sounds absolutely deluded, because he has no hand in ruining our country. It is the person we elected and put in charge who has completely shit on our country and then abandoned us and left us with
it's too hard. Bye.
The old like lucid
circus man
Biden we have
he
now.
looks like a Scientologist.
He literally looks like just a more talkative Biden to me.
Yeah.
He's just another old
It's still a
white
lot
hair.
of words. There's
I
a lot
don't
of word
like it.
salad in there. There's still a lot of
The
word salad
debate?
in there. Oh God. I know. Like,
To
yes.
Pierre and like even Bloc Québécois.
Even
dude,
Bloc
like, I was
Québécois.
pissing myself. I was like,
I know. Agreed.
finally a proud moment for some of not even my heritage, Nick's heritage, but like thank God at least
It was
you
good.
voted for it. Like that was my favorite moment of the entire thing. You can see Pierre holding it back, like don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. Like,
oh, it was so good. Yeah, and then those parts. But I'm just so over the talk. You know what I mean? I'm just done.
Well, it's just wild how like people people think that this is an acceptable world to live in.
Yeah.
What we're going through now. And although it is far cry from what the pandemic was, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I would not say we're out of the woods. And the newest, I won't even say, maybe it's not a pandemic, it's definitely an epidemic.
Yes.
Of the drugs needs to be our next thing to, because like, why would we leave? Like you said, why identify the problem, have it very visible and in your face, and then literally go like this? Well, you know, it'll sort itself out, kind of like.
Yeah.
Here's some money.
just give them money and clean supply sites, and that's all they need. Like, no. Again, this is such a Western medicine approach of like, let's just band-aid the problem.
Yeah.
What was the root fucking cause? What is the root cause? As we are using these options, again, not saying that these things need to be removed, but while we are doing that, what is the helping? And we've talked about this when it comes to medication, across the board, as you're trying to heal in anything. Sometimes you do have to walk hand in hand with both, but into the idea of getting off of it. Same with Western, like SSRIs. The idea is not to be on anxiety medication or depression medication your entire life. As you're on them and when you need them, weaning off and working through and making sure your environment, your diet, and again, that's coming out of understand of privilege that I had support. I understand people don't, but that's where I want my taxes to go to be
coming
able to go to sites on that.
Putting SSRIs as a normal human being who just uses for anxiety is the same thing. There should be treatment centers for that.
It was awful.
Friend that it, and she said going through it is just crazy, like the mental going through it. And if it wasn't for friends and like her kind of therapeutic ways to go through things, like, bro,
it's
deadly. A drug. What do you think? Like, it's a synthetic form of all like crack, cocaine, heroin. Like, they're all
chemicals just moved around.
All of those SSRIs and stuff, it's a chemical fuck up in your head. It's a fuck around, and it's just not. I will never see them as anything, but it's just risky drugs.
Yeah, exactly. It's just and it's just a different drug dealer, right? Like pharmacists, not pharmacists, but doctors and stuff. We know that they get incentives for selling certain drugs, and I'm not saying all of them, but some of them do. So it's just like. All the people, I think everyday people should be self-reflecting on this. What am I doing to make it better? And even that's by continuing the stigma, even by looking and trying to redirect your thoughts of being like, oh, that's a homeless person. Oh, that's a crackhead or whatever. And just like, we know how dehumanizing it was to be unvaxxed, right? So I think we can all look at this epidemic and go, how are we contributing to it? Even if we're not a part of it, even if it's the stigma, having the conversations, not looking down, fighting for the money to be going to the right places when the right people get in policy and into the right.
She let my dog out and there's a big great thing next door.
Oh no.
No, I was thinking too, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's a dance, you know, it's a dance and a balance that we all need to like figure out. But like the one that we're doing now is just really not working. And we like to really
very dangerous.
Everyone that's been here long, here's Little Bean. Not so little Bean anymore. She's
not so little.
Who likes
sassy.
to yell at neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, same. Just kidding. Love my neighbors. Love you guys.
Like, I can see the Great Dane. She's like literally no bigger than its head. She's a donut. Whatever.
Your little tiny tidbit.
I honestly, I hope that it's just, we need to focus on the bigger problems, which is the mental health issue of it all, the root of it all, right?
Yeah. And again, I wanted to really direct people to that Aaron Gun Canada is dying. And I did grab a couple, actually, just finish off here some of the comments of that episode, but it was just basically affirming all of the things that he was saying. So one commenter was saying, over 20 years of my career was spent in counter narcotics, in customs, in the RCMP, and the military. It was all for naught. My city, Vancouver, was overrun with violent addicts, and we moved. My next city, Victoria, was also overrun by violent addicts, including our neighbor across the street, who was subject to a massive police raid and arrested for drugs and weapons. Last year, I quit my job, sold our house, packed our bags, and left the country. That was a year ago. Like,
can you imagine, like, the house Nick and I live in right now, like, the neighborhood is pretty, like, it's family. I don't know what I would do. Like, we've lived here 13 years and you just have to up and sell your entire life because your
And your
new
job?
neighbors are like absolute like drug addicts and like obviously they're cooking something. Like that was
Yeah.
a grow up or
Yeah,
that was a fucking
exactly. And that's why I
lab
think
soap.
dealers need to be held more accountable. Another
And
comment said, Aaron, I have been a police officer in BC for over 20 years, and I must tell you, you did an amazing job with this documentary. You knocked it out of the park. This should be required viewing for every new police officer recruit. Well done. What a sad
Yep.
state we are in. Canada is better than this. Our government should be very ashamed.
I think it should be mandatory for all. I think that should be played on CBC. Like that
Yeah,
should be a
it
mandatory for
was,
all Canadians. It should be played for a week straight every night
yep,
on global CBC and all that. And it should be like, this is
current state.
Canada right now.
Yep, current
This is
state.
on Canada.
Yep, current state.
Put it in their face
Yeah.
so they see it.
Yep. 23 years clean. I can say firsthand experience the so-called safe supply or harm reduction is absolutely the wrong way to go. It literally kills people. Addicts need help by taking them off the streets, then lock in detox and then recovery houses. This is an honest and great documentary, Aaron Gunn. My brother was trapped in a rabbit hole of addiction for years. Right before he went to rehab, he was in Nanaimo, which is one of the worst places. Right before he went to rehab, he was in Nanaimo at the homeless camps looking for drugs. I honestly thought that was it for him, and it was just waiting for a call to notify me of his death. He lost everything, his home, his wife, his children, his job. I'm happy to say that he is clean now for about 1 year and doing amazing. It was not an easy task, as the housing he was in Richmond had drugs for sale inside the building. I'm super proud of what he has overcome and so happy to be able to allow him to be a part of my life. Thank you for all your efforts for bringing this serious and grave issue to the forefront. So, like, guys, there is hope, right?
I just want to say right now, for all the people that have recovered or in recovery or thinking about recovery, like,
Yeah.
because honestly, making that decision is not an easy one, especially when you know most likely you're doing it kind of alone. Like, you're going to have to fucking big up yourself and hold yourself accountable and stuff. Like, it is not a fucking task that I wish on anyone. And I really wish that like you said, more people saw this and like could see it through the eyes of someone who has been there firsthand and who unfortunately has to like rewatch this and like relive their experience of like, this is how shitty it was. And like people not really like, we see it, and yes, a lot of us and most of us and some of us do take it seriously. But like I said, if it's not in your face and you're not affected by it and it's not like a daily reminder, our lives are so busy that we don't. So this needs to be, like it needs to be shown, it needs to be talked about, it needs to be the forefront, it needs to be put on mainstream. Yeah. And it just needs to, like, we need to talk about it a little bit more as if it were the pandemic and put focus on it and make sure that it's not just swept under the rug again. And I hate those times.
That's okay. We're almost done here anyways. But yeah, I totally agree. I'm really hoping that the funding shifts and the thoughts shift. And
we're going to stand here for now.
We're good. But also too, like, I think that the conversation is happening, right? So that's the start. Conversation, everyone getting involved, everyone, like I said, keep going, self-check yourself on how you're saying things and if you're dehumanizing these people, these individuals, because again, everybody has someone, or they could be like, we've all been to our darkest and deepest parts. And if you say you haven't, then maybe you need to, you never know, and you never know what can happen. Like this guy said, like you could lose everything, especially with the way Canada's going. So try to lead with more compassion and empathy. Yeah, and curiosity, and not in like a rude way, but just like look for yourself and go, like, there's actually surveys that people are taking in BC at these safe supply sites, and there's actually like percentages that tell you how they're feeling and what they think about it. And basically they just feel like there's not enough resources and they feel alone and stigmatized. So I think having the conversations and talking about it and humanizing them again. Yeah, and providing them proper,
and get these people the help they need.
Yeah, and like, you deserve to heal, you deserve to be sober, and I want to do everything to help. Even if you fall off the train a handful of times, just please keep going back. And I'm gonna, in the description box, I will leave resources for people to be able to reach if you are looking to get help with addiction. I understand completely, being someone who is a pharmaceutical junkie, I want to say, and did really bad things that I wouldn't be proud of today. But it's facts, and all of us have been at some point, whether that's with drugs or some sort of addiction, porn, whatever. So I think we can all put judgment to the side and try to be more empathetic and humanize individuals that are dealing with fentanyl. And I think that's the first step to working towards this crisis and offering support, not more drugs, and more
It's just open conversation.
Open conversation.
Judgeless, judgmentless conversation.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Hales. I really not enjoyed because not great. I'm like, I
But
enjoyed seeing
it's
to
always
you.
hard to say, I really enjoyed talking to you today about weird cults and psychotic people and drugs.
Like weird, but it's just like anytime I get with my friends, whether there's a dark topic or not, I
it's
just
always
love
a
it
good time,
anyways.
though.
It's always a good time. We always try to bring it light, but as always, guys, thank you for listening, and until next time, bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly appreciate the support. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please follow the Be Real Babe podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Rumble. You can also find me at the Be Real Babe podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Until next time, guys, bye!